Ladies and gentlemen, sit back and enjoy Mega Meeple.
Greetings and welcome to the Mega Meeple, the show all about gamers and the games that bring them together. This is episode 75, and thank you for smashing that little download button and listening in on us. Really appreciate it. Appreciate your listenership and loyalty and fanship and all that stuff. And now, if this is your first time here, welcome. Everybody is welcome here at the Mega Meeple gaming table. Now, if you haven't already, you could go to our website. That's at www.themegameeple.com. That's all one word, themegameeple.com. And all of our episodes stream there. In fact, they stream there before it gets to iTunes. And the only other people that get to hear the episodes before it gets onto the website is our Patreon and Podpledge supporters. They get like an extended director's cut advanced episode, and they get that before the actual finished edited episode gets on the website, and then usually about 24 hours later, iTunes and all of your RSS feeds and stuff like that picks it up later. So, but yeah, if you haven't already, go over to iTunes or whatever your favorite podcast streaming service is. But I typically concentrate on iTunes because I'm an Apple guy, so sue me, But yeah, if you're on iTunes, go over to iTunes, subscribe. While you're there, put out some of that 5-star loving. Leave us a happy review. Really appreciate it. And subscribe to us on YouTube. Actually, if you go on the social media page on the website, all of the links there to all of our, the YouTube channel, the Facebook, the Twitters, the Instagram, all that stuff. So if you would go to those sites and like us and subscribe or follow and all that stuff, and that's other than Patreon and Podpledge, that's probably the best way, and actually best and only way that sort of like the mass markets is able to interact with me and send me questions, comments, And if you want to support the show, like I said, we go to either the Patreon or Podpledge page. The links, again, to that are on the social media page on the website. There are a variety of different tiers that you could, support the show on. And depending on what level you donate, you get a little kickback, a little something. Show my appreciation. Everything from a monthly game giveaway to actually coming onto the show and being a guest, a special guest co-host. But if you're not able to support the show financially, just spreading the word. Word of mouth goes a long, long way, and I appreciate that very, very much. And I appreciate and very grateful for your listenership. This past week, I've been trying to get back into the rhythm of things because I spent 3 days at MACE Gaming Con here in Charlotte, North Carolina, and my God, it's when you get to someone my age, I think for every 1 day of a gaming con, I need at least 2 days of recoup and recovery, and you just to get the energy level back up. My goodness, but hey, that was just. I mean, any gaming con really. I don't think I've yet to go to a bad experience of a game con. I mean, just to be able to meet some old friends, some people I haven't seen in a year. I mean, since the previous year's Game Con, and meet some new people. But actually, I had one instance where I was not at the con for, I'd say, not even an hour. And I was actually there. I was setting up for one of the games that I was hosting, and all of a sudden I heard somebody say, "Hey, you!" And I'm like, I mean, there are other people in this big, huge ballroom, so it's like, why the hell would someone be talking to me? I didn't, I'm not thinking about that. So someone approaches my table and says, "Hey, you're that guy." Now, it's like, now you got to understand from my history. I've worked in forensics. I've worked I've worked for a contract for a number of, shall we say, law enforcement agencies. Usually, and back during those days, I've usually gotten usually if someone approaches me and says, "You're that guy," they're either going to hug me or they're going to stab me or shoot me or something like that. And I was so anytime anybody approaches me that I don't know and they start acting like they know me or they seen me or something like that, I'm sorry, just with my history and my conditioning and training is like that. That's where I automatically go. So it doesn't dawn on me that, hello, I'm at a gaming con, and they might have perhaps seen my face on the Dice Tower's board game breakfast. So this is what that person was approaching me for. He's like, "Yeah, you're that guy on the Dice Tower." Okay, well now we were entering a new avenue here, because now I don't know. Okay. They recognize me. They've seen me on the show. Now it could still go one of either. There's two ways it could go. Is either they like me and they enjoy my content, and they want to congratulate me or shake my hand or something like that, or they hate my content and they want to spit in my face or something. So so luckily this this first one, and actually everybody that was there that recognized me and said, "Hey, oh yeah, you're the Mega Meeple. Oh, okay, yeah, I recognize you. I saw you. I listened to the podcast. I enjoy the show, stuff like that." So everybody that I talked to or approached me saying, "Hey, you're that guy." Yeah, they were all very, very friendly. They enjoyed they enjoyed my content, and that I think that's. Actually, that since being on the Dice Tower, and actually I think since I started this whole podcast thing, that really, this past weekend is really the first time that I've had some people approach me and say, "Hey," or wave and say, "Hey, Mega," or I had one person come and they went, "Greetings," and they just did my usual. Signature greetings. So that was pretty neat. But yeah, it was just really neat to meet some new people, make some new acquaintances, and just bump fists and rub elbows with all you listeners out there that were at MACE Gaming Con in Charlotte. So if you came up to say hi, thank you. You really made my weekend. So I'm glad you enjoy the content and the show and the videos and all that. So, like I said, just your listenership and viewership and loyalty, just moments like that just really mean a lot to me. So thank you so much. Well, while I was at MACE, I got a chance to pick up my copy of Henchmen from Clarion Studio Games. In fact, that was the Kickstarter. And in fact, I was told I was the very first backer to get their grubby little hands on the box of Henchmen. And yeah, that's while I was there, we videotaped a demo of the game. And so if, that video will be going up on the Mega Meeple YouTube channel fairly soon. There's some just a bunch of, and anytime you're doing like a demo or any video or any production, it be a video or audio or whatever in a convention setting, you really don't have control over the background noise. So it's not the most ideal, controlled environment to make the most optimal video. But it is what it is. I did my best. We did our best. But be looking for a quick unboxing of the Henchmen Kickstarter game. Think of The Office meets Minions, and that's what this game is. It's a card game. It has a lot of character, has a lot of humor to it. So if you like either the Office or or Minions or both of them, I think you'll like this game. But anyway, I'll have the unboxing and then the demo video up on Mega Meeple YouTube channel here before too long. While I was there, I also I picked up a copy of Arkham Horror 3rd Edition. So, at the time I'm recording this, I haven't gotten a chance to play it yet. But I hope to get that on the table pretty soon. But I learned one lesson I learned by going to these cons is, especially if you're hosting a game. And I hosted I hosted Tiny Epic Zombies, and that was a great game. I played the zombie. I had 4 players there that played the survivors, and they barely won. They were able to achieve the last of their 3 objectives, and I'm talking they were able to do it on the last turn with the last player. I mean, all the cards in the supply deck or the search deck was revealed. So we had one more round with the survivors, and it got down to the last player, last survivor. It was the last turn of the last round, and during that turn, they stopped. It was like, okay, well, how could we got this? We just got this one little thing. We need to get back to the common area or the courtyard. And how can we get to? And it was, in order to just looking at the map, it was more than 3 moves. It was like at least 5 moves that they would have to do, but they would have to figure it out how to do it with this one player, this last player. And luckily, with the combination of using the motorcycle and one of the cards that was in the search deck of the store that they ended their turn on, they were able to add 2 more moves to their turn, and as a result, get the I think it was the part about the helicopter, fixing the helicopter, and they were able to get that last part for the helicopter back to the courtyard, and it was epic. I mean, it was one of those nail biting games that when they finally won, I mean, everybody was high-fiving each other and we were laughing and woo, and it was an epic. I mean, that was one of those things like tiny epic. That game right there was one of the most epic games plays that we've had of that game. So yeah, if you haven't picked up Tiny Epic Zombies yet, you got to. It was that particular play was absolutely tremendous. But anyway, that was one of the games that I hosted. I also hosted Zombicide, Green Horde, Everdale, Rising Sun. We had a lot of fun with that. And then Lords of Hellas. And this is where, newsflash to me, and I'm going to have to remember this for next year. But, when you, at least the way MACE does it, you submit your proposal of these games that you want to host, and you tell them what days or times that you are available, or when you're going to be attending the con. That way they know when to schedule your game. I made the mistake of just basically saying, yeah, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, anytime. I don't think I'm going to do that next year, because going into Friday, I mean, and of course you're talking about gamers, so the last of the games, the last of the RPGs, they're not finishing up until like 1:30 in the morning, if even that early. So go there Friday, come on, it's like. And then get up Saturday morning. Well, actually, I got home Saturday morning at like 2 o'clock in the morning. And then I had to get up maybe, I think I got maybe 3.5, 4 hours tops of sleep. And that's on top of, just being on my feet and running around and doing the games Friday. That was, so Saturday morning, my brain was fried. Even at that point, it was like I was in no condition to teach, let alone host a game. And my first game Saturday morning, 9 a.m., was Lords of Hellas. Oh, God almighty. It just got to the point where it's like, you know what? If you don't mind, I printed out a bunch of cheat sheets from BGG, so I just handed a bunch of them out to the players. Like, here, read this. You'll figure it out as you go. And I just sat there, just to make sure praying that nobody had any questions, because I was so brain dead and tired. And I forget how many cups of coffee I had during the game, just to try to wake up. But yeah, lesson learned. If you're gonna do a early morning game hosting or playing, so let it be some heavy Euro game. For God's sakes! Oh, what a glutton for punishment I was that day. So yeah, I think I'm gonna curb my strategy for next year's con. Well, some things, Kickstarters coming through on the mail. Just recently got Chronicles of Crime. In fact, I got it the day before MACE. So, darn it, I didn't have any time this past weekend to play it. And that's fine. Well, I have to play it. I'm recording this on like Friday night. So, I hope to play Chronicles of Crime this weekend. But, having... with MACE last weekend, and then just trying to recover and recoup and get my energy level back up this whole past week. I just haven't gotten extra. So, but it's here, and I see that U.S. backers are starting to get their Fireball Island, and they got like so tens and thousands of backers. So. They said it was going to be a good at least 2 or 3 weeks of shipping those out to people. So hopefully, I don't think I'm in the first week's shipping. So maybe hopefully in the next 2 weeks that will show up on my doorstep. And then one game that I'm really having fun with. And I was playing the heck out of it just during some of the few downtimes that I had at the MACE, was the Cat Lady game app. I haven't gotten Cat Lady game, the analog game yet, but I hope to at some point, because that's a real popular game. It gets sold out pretty quick, at least at the places that I usually look for and shop. But for the time being, we got the game app, and I think it's like, I don't know, $4.99 or something like that. I don't think it's like not even $5. But yeah, it's pretty cool. So I've been burning away my iPhone battery playing that all day when I can, and that's just, I mean, it's cats. It's cats. Come on, you gotta love a game about cats. But yeah, if you have the board game, the actual board game, you might like the game app. That way, when you're out and about, and maybe waiting in line in a grocery store, or waiting in line at the DMV or at a doctor's office or whatever, and yeah, just pull out the app and play Cat Lady right there, and it does really well as far as porting that the analog experience, the tabletop experience of the game into app form. So if you haven't already, check that out. If you haven't already, I have my very first hardcore game review video of Affectionate Cats and Cuddles. It is a game that at the time of this episode, it has maybe about another week and a half or so on Kickstarter. Well, at least the expansion. It's Treat Time. Is what the Kickstarter is for. It's funded. It's successful. But I did what I'm calling my hardcore review of the core game, Affectionate Cats and Cuddles. So if you haven't already seen that, go to the YouTube channel, Mega Meeple, and watch that. You'll find that the way I do my reviews is very, very different from what the typical, game reviewer does out there. And I'll just let you go to see the video, and I'll see about putting a link to that video in the show notes of this episode. But yeah, go check that out. And I mean, it's my very first video of a review that I put out, so I'm still fumbling my way through the damn editing software. And this is where the whole Patreon and Pod Pledge things is really going to come in handy. Is if I get support with that, if I get enough support, I'll be able to hire someone to do the editing. So the actual presentation and production value of the videos will just go up tremendously. But I'm going to need people to support the show to do that. I mean, as far as audio and video goes, I got that down pat. It's just the damn editing that I have to, just deal with. And to be honest, I'd rather just hire that out to somebody who actually knows what the heck they're doing. And yeah, that's where that's the whole reason. That's the main reason I think that I put up the Pod Pledge and Patreon page. Because really, after the Lipson only costs like $20 a month, so anything beyond $20 a month, it will be given to hiring somebody to do editing for the videos. Well, about a week or so ago, actually 2 weeks ago, because I was not on the board game breakfast this past week because I was at MACE. But the week prior to that, I showcased a game on my segment called How Do You See the World? Authentic Agility Games. Well, my guest this episode is the creator and designer of that game. So let's go to that interview right now and find out how this game came to be. All right, welcome back to the Mega Meeple. And if my listeners have seen the my segment for the Dice Towers Board Game Breakfast last week, I showcased a game called How Do You See the World? And is by Authentic Agility Games. And I am happy to have the designer and creator of that game, Kathy Cranberg, with us today. Kathy, how you doing today?
Great, Thomas. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Doing good. Yeah, I'm doing good. And I got to say, when and I mentioned on the video segment, it's like, especially with we're just coming off of election day. And we're actually recording this the day before Election Day, so hopefully there. Well, I'm sure there's going to be half and half. There's going to be people out there that's going to be happy. There's going to be people out there that's going to be sad. But just take it into account some of the stuff that's been going on in the news, particularly the past 2 weeks. My goodness, we've had pipe bombs being mailed to people. We've had a dozen people gunned down in a synagogue, and just all this division and stuff that's going on in society. So I was contacted by Authentic Agility Games, and they told me about this game called How Do You See the World? And I'm happy that they were nice enough to send me a copy. And but yeah, when you're it's. Well, I'm just gonna serve the ball over to you, Kathy. I gotta say, when there's a game that actually fosters an environment that encourages people to sit down and actually stop and listen and hear other people's sides, hear other people's experiences and viewpoints, and do it in a constructive and encouraging manner. I think in today's world, this is the type of game that society really needs. So to thank you for now coming up with a game like this. So for those of us who don't know anything about Kathy, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into gaming, and what kind of games do you like to play?
Sure. So I have been in the business world really most of my career, really leading large organizations. I now serve on several boards, and we have several businesses. I'm a mother of four, and we have a very busy, kind of chaotic life. But you hit it on the head, Thomas, when you were talking about the divisiveness, especially right now, the day before Election Day, that's happening in the world. And that is the essence of why I created and wanted to bring this game to life, is to bring people together again, to connect with one another, even if you're on different sides of the belief system sometimes, so that people can listen to one another and respect one another. And it's so important that we do this again, that we can think differently and see the world differently based on our experiences and based on where we grew up, based on our family history, our religious beliefs, but yet we can sit down with others that are very different and have a great conversation that helps us understand how the other sees the world. And in that sense, that's what this game does. So this is the first game of many versions coming out. This is called How Do You See the World? The second game is called Why Can't We All Just Get Along? And that's the political religious version coming out next September. But the game is very simple. It's a card game. There are 100 question cards with 500 questions, and they cover the categories of reflections, relationships, aspirations, life's purpose, and beliefs. And you roll the dice, you simply roll a dice. There's a foam dice that's kind of like a stress ball almost, because I think this game does elicit a little bit of vulnerability, and to some could elicit some stress, because it really does dig in deep to why people believe certain things, and maybe questions, questions to yourself and others is what I believe correct, based on everything that I know. So you simply roll the dice, and it'll land on a category. And you pick a card from that category. For example, I just rolled beliefs, and one of the questions is, what do you know for sure? So it's a fun way to engage with people, to really get to know people, either people you've known a long time, where you really have never dug deep with them, or people you just met.
Excellent. And the rules of the game is very simple. Be authentic, no judgment.
That's right. And you give everyone a minute to answer. So if you were in a large group, you would give everyone a minute to answer the question. Everyone should listen without any judgment, and also no clarifying questions. So everyone interprets the questions quite differently as well. So it leaves some ambiguity in the experience, but what happens is really transformational. I mean, I've played this now hundreds of times over many, many years in the creation of the product, and it takes what could have been a very shallow experience or opportunity with people, and it makes it a long, deep, intimate conversation of where you actually walk away and you've learned something about the person. Perhaps you have changed your perspective about something, or you've gotten inspired.
Now it has like you said, 500 questions. Now, how did you come up with these questions, or did you have like a poll of people or professionals that you would you got ideas of questions for?
No, it was, for me, it's really simple. I'm not someone who watches TV. I haven't watched TV in 6 years, so I read a lot of books. And through my reading of books and listening to podcasts and other, types of entertainment outside of just watching TV, I will gather questions. So, for example, as I'm reading a book like Man's Search for Meaning, it's the story of a Holocaust survivor and kind of how he is able to elude death in many circumstances. And so through that book, I'm able to pick out questions like, how did he see the world, right, during that time of his life, and why was he able to survive when others weren't? So through that kind of introspective process, I was just able to pick out and create questions. Really, I created all of the questions.
Okay.
And then I have a process with my team that we vet. So the questions have to be, are they interesting? Are they curious? Are they open-ended? So all of the questions are the Socratic method of open-ended questions. And are they thought-provoking? And so, we have a process and we'll vet all the questions, but it's really through reading and I would say podcasts primarily.
Okay. Now, it's often been said that gamers, as much as we like to get together and game and stuff like that, there's probably the biggest group of introverts that there are in gaming. Yeah. So what would you say to people who are kind of I don't know if I want to answer that question, or is there sort of like I don't know tweaks or something that they could do in the game that would make people more comfortable in answering a question, or maybe pass on a question if they don't feel comfortable in answering it?
Absolutely. It's really a game for everyone, regardless of your propensity to be social or really shy. You can easily pass. The rules are very ambiguous. So if someone's a huge introspective or introvert, they can simply say pass, and then you can go around again, and if they would like to answer or they feel the need to, they can. So it's very fluid. The game can meet the needs of really anyone who wants to play in any way, shape, or form. On our website, AuthenticAgilityGames.com, there are a handful of ways to play the game. some people really love to win and lose. Like that's a key component of why they play games. This game in its authentic version is not, there isn't a winner or a loser, but there are other ways to play where you can win.
Okay. Yeah, and let's touch upon on some of those. It's like you have the original rules, which what we've been talking about thus far.
Yeah.
And then you have this a way to play of called Guess Who.
Yep. So that way is more like Pictionary, which is one of my favorite games, where you would ask the question and people would simply draw kind of an answer to it, and then the one person would collect all of the drawings and they would have to guess whose answer it is. Okay. And you could also do that in writing. They could write out their answer, and then you'd have to guess who answered what. And that's a little more difficult because these are really deep questions that most people, even your best friends, may not know how you would answer these questions.
Okay. And then there's a way to play called Second Chances.
Yeah, and that's really simple. So we've found that many times people will want to change their answer after they've heard the group's answer because maybe they interpreted it differently or they thought of something that was more important to them that they'd like to express. And so that's simply, they can answer and then they simply say, I would like to have a second chance. And so people can go around once or twice to kind of dig in deeper and or be inspired by others on how they answer. Some of the questions are so ambiguous that the interpretation is very different from one person to another. So, for example, you and I could say, okay, how do you like to see the world, Thomas? And I could say, well, I love to see the world by biking. You know, I love to go to Croatia and bike around the vineyards. And you could interpret it completely differently.
Okay.
You can also play it by yourself. And in creating the game, I played it by myself a lot. I went through a divorce in my 30s, and I had to really ask myself a lot of these questions. What do I want my life to look like? What's important to me? What are my priorities? You know, how do I want to craft my life now that it's changed? And so many of these questions are those type of questions, especially in the aspirations, kind of in life's purpose category.
And you said the extension of the political and religious will be coming out next year?
Yes, in September of next year, which we're really excited about, just in time for the 2020.
Wow, all right.
Yeah.
And then what's do you know the status of the other ones? We have like a young adult, woman to woman, business together. What are those will be coming in subsequent years?
Yes. I mean, our goal is to really create one version every year. There may be more that come out in a year, one or two, but we want to be thoughtful and curate the questions, you know, with a lot of feedback. And there's also a possibility that we would, you know, leverage, for example, the young adult version. We would leverage young adults to help us curate the questions and really go through our process. So there's some opportunities there as well.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Kathy. Now this game is available on Amazon. And,
yes, it is.
We will have a link to the Amazon link so people could order the game from there. Now, if people want to find out more about you or even Authentic Agility Games, where could they go?
AuthenticAgilityGames.com is our website. And really it encompasses our story, our history, kind of our why. And I think one very important piece of this company and this product is our why. And that is that a portion of proceeds will go to organizations that advance education and entrepreneurship. So we need to be profitable so that we can continue to make products and sell products. But ultimately, we really want to give money away to high quality organizations that can change the world. And that's a huge priority for me.
That's excellent. That is just a good example of gamers making a difference in not only their own lives, but in their relationships and friendships and in the world. I mean, we just finished off a weekend here with Extra Life gaming marathon where the proceeds went to the different locations, Children's Hospital Network. So
I love that.
And so a game like this that really helps to build bridges between not only people but friends, family. This is a type of game that rather than flipping the table over, playing Monopoly on Thanksgiving, and pull this game out and play with your family and really foster that connecting with family members and loved ones. So this is the game that really provides the vehicle to be able to do such a thing like that. So kudos and kudos to you guys. That is a very good thing.
Thank you so much. We're so excited. I think hopefully people will go out and buy this game and really transform their experiences when they're with others, with any type of others, family, friends, loved ones who are even with, for example, with Alzheimer's or dementia. My mother-in-law recently passed away, and this was the one game we played multiple times a day. And in that process, she was able to be in the moment when she was playing the game with the nurses, and she was able to ask the questions and then answer. And other than that, she would really just repeat herself, within that dementia. So there's just so many uses for it, and I hope that people really have a transformative experience.
That's good, and it's not a huge game. I mean, it's something that. Depending on the size of your stocking, this would fit in a good, be a good stocking stuffer.
Perfect stocking stuffer, $24.99. Perfect stocking stuffer. Yep.
Or doing, if your company is doing like a Secret Santa, like a lot of companies and organizations do, this would be a good one to do. So, well, Kathy, if you don't mind, we'd like to play like a little trivia game with all of our guests.
Sure.
We call it the Mega Meeple Rapid Fire Round. And,
okay.
It has nothing to do with gaming, but just sort of fun. Like I'll say cats or dogs, and you tell me which one you like.
Got it.
All right. So first off, beaches or mountains?
Beaches.
All righty. Let's do Star Wars or Star Trek?
Ooh, Star Wars.
All righty. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
All right. Well, since you said coffee, let's go with regular or decaf.
Regular for sure.
And then finally, cake or pie?
Cake.
All right. All right. Well, thank you so much, Kathy. And it is How Do You See the World by Authentic Agility Games. Again, the links to the website and the Amazon link to order the game will be in the show notes of this episode. Kathy, thank you so much. And thank you for coming up with a really good and very relevant game, especially in today's day and age.
Thank you so much for having me, Thomas. I really appreciate it.
Alrighty then. Well, thank you so much for listening. And I hope you'll join me again next week where my guest will be. And I have no idea who my guest is. So I guess I'll figure that out sometime this week. But come back anyway. It'll be fun. I promise. And again, thank you so much for listening. You go to our website, follow us on any of the social media craps. The links are found there on the website. Want to help the show out, be it the podcast or the videos on YouTube. You go to either a Pod Pledge or Patreon. It doesn't matter which one. It's either one is fine. And then just support the show and not gonna have to cost you a dime. It's totally free. Is just share the word. Tell people about the show. Really appreciate it. So again, thank you so much for listening. I appreciate your listenership and your loyalty. Above all else, as always, this is Tom saying we'll see you at the gaming table. Well, while I was